circuit of the Americas as supercars head back to the Lone Star State. And what a lineup! From Formula One, Lando Norris returns. From IndyCar, Will Power couldn't resist another shot. From NASCAR, Austin Cindric makes his first appearance. And local heroes, multiple Bathurst and Supercar champions, Garth Tander and Craig Lowndes climb back in the Supercar saddle. That's tonight on the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to round 6 of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. That's right, we're taking supercars back to Texas. It's been 7 years since the category visited the circuit of the Americas, and we cannot wait to get the action underway this evening. It is a very good evening to Neil Crompton and Maddie White, who joined me for tonight's triple header. Evening, guys. Great to see you.
And you.
So our international wildcards cannot get enough of the Supercars E-Series. Lando Norris, Will Power, they're back for more, and a couple of our Supercars legends want a taste too.
It's remarkable. You kind of roll all the names out and they go like this. There are 31 drivers in total, 6 wild cards. Yes, to Formula One drivers, Lando Norris, IndyCar driver, Will Power, NASCAR driver, Austin Cindric. We've got Josh Fife in from Dunlop Super 2. A couple of blokes who probably have a future in the business if they try hard enough in Craig Lowndes and Garth Tander, but it's fantastic to have such a quality field. We're past hump day. We've got over the top half of the championship, the first events, 5 events down, 74 points between everybody, and the tension is building. Bit of on-track aggravation in the last several rounds, Matthew, and I think the run to the checkered flag to round 10 is going to be pretty exciting.
When he calls me Matthew, he's normally worried about something's going to happen.
He's done something wrong.
Tonight, for me, I think it's all about location, location, location. We know, Crompo, Austin's a great city, but this is a ripper circuit, and I reckon we missed an opportunity after 2013 to not go back there. So tonight, we virtually get to ride again in Texas.
Indeed we do. We cannot wait. Let's take a look at our E-Series Championship and how it's shaping up as we hit round 6. Scotty McLaughlin's still out in front. He's been leading this entire series. Cameron Waters only 74 points behind him, though. Shane Van Gisbergen was the round winner last week, but there was a little bit of controversy as to the result in that first race, so it's put him back down into third. Chaz Mossad doing a great job, pretty consistent there in fourth. Anton De Pasquale sitting in fifth, and we had been hoping for big things from him, and he has been ultra consistent, but hasn't quite got across the line to have a few race wins to his name. So still more for him to do, no doubt about it.
Yeah, the stats tell some of the story, really, don't they, Jess? So for Anton, he's had 5 Armour All poles, excluding what's happened this evening. For Shane Van Gisbergen, 5 victories. In terms of total number of podiums, Scotty McLaughlin's had 9 of those. So those top guys are floating to the top, and Anton's the one that's got to continue throwing those punches to get further up to the top of that tree in the championship battle.
Yeah, so we've had 17 races so far. We've had 5 rounds, but 17 races and 9 different winners. That's what I really like about this as well. But remember, we've got a 150-point race at the end of this one again tonight. We've had 3 150-point races in the series so far. Shane Van Gisbergen won the last of them at Spa last weekend, but Scott McLaughlin's claimed 2 of the other 3. So when the money's on, when the points are there, the big guys come up and take it. And let's not forget Brock Feeney last week as well, the wild card who won the race, won the reverse grid race. So the reverse grid is going to throw it in again tonight. Yeah,
which is what we absolutely love. Well, let's talk to one of our international wildcards tonight. We've got Formula One star Lando Norris on the line. Hey, Lando, it's great to have you back on board tonight. What are you looking forward to?
What am I looking forward to? I'm trying to finish all 3 races and trying to keep my nose clean. I think those are the other main things. I just want to have fun and, try and stay out of the collisions, unlike what I did.
So now that you've had a taste of supercars last week, you said you want to stay out of trouble, keep your nose clean. What is your strategy for tonight?
It is basically to try and get a good start in race 1, and just kind of, I I just don't want to crash. I made a lot of mistakes in the races in Spa, and I just want to try and have some good fun races with Brycey, with Chaz, and hopefully with the rest of them, and Will as well, because I raced Will in a couple of the other races. So yeah, just have some fun side-by-side action and just have a good time.
Well, it's fantastic to have you on board tonight. Good luck, have fun. We'll catch up with you a little later this evening. Let's take a closer look now at the Circuit of the Americas with some of our drivers, thanks to Logitech.
Circuit of the Americas, most of us got to race there in 2013. That was my first year in the supercar. It was a really cool feeling getting to go international and have the American fans supporting us on a supercar weekend.
It's an awesome facility. It's a lot of corners, a lot of passing opportunities, and some long straights as well. So it'd be awesome to go back and race it on the sim. We haven't been there in real life since 2013 with the Supercars Championship, so I'm looking forward to that race.
Obviously, everyone looks at Turn 1 as being the iconic corner of that circuit. The simulator is going to be challenging for sure. Getting the most out of the car through all those sections of corners are going to be tough, but looking forward to the challenge and can't wait to have a crack.
This is a great racetrack and it should be a lot of fun tonight. The Armour All Pole Award for race 18 went to Shane Van Gisbergen. Crompo, that now means he's got 5 in the bank, putting he and Anton De Pasquale right on par with each other.
He's just a magician at this stuff, isn't he? He does a remarkable job. So remembering that we're using the National or the West Circuit of the Americas, just as we did when Supercars visited back in 2013. And he put a margin on everybody, which is a really difficult thing to do in reality, and certainly the case with virtual supercar racing as well. So he came home with a hefty margin there that was quite a bit bigger than everybody thought it was going to be. And so now he and Anton both sharing 5 of those Armour All poles. So they are the class of the field when it comes to wringing everything out of those sims.
They've been spending a lot of time in the simulator, haven't they?
McLaughlin's been living in his thing. I think he's got the jammies on there all the time.
I think he does indeed. It's really going to be interesting to see how Anton and Shane finish this one. Race 18 of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series is coming up after the break. As we head to that break, let's check out Chaz Mostert's sim setup thanks to Repco.
So here's my modem simulator for the E-Series competition coming up. Obviously super lucky that modem simulators obviously have an association with WAU, and they've set this up from Melbourne for me to use for the racing. So here it is in all its glory. I've also been lucky enough that appliances online have sent me this Samsung QLED gaming monitor too, so obviously got one of the best gaming monitors going around. So as you can see, I was watching Cameron Waters there, trying to channel the inner Cameron, see what he's doing, see if I pick up some tips. But yeah, here it is. Obviously, it's in my garage, as you can see. It gets pretty hot in here, so just running some external fans, and hopefully the races aren't too long.
But it's a passion that Shannon's understands, which is why my Fords are insured with Shannon's. And now, so...
Ricky. Getting crumbs everywhere. A lot easier to clean things up in the E-Series.
Push of a button, he's back in pit lane.
Still, not as easy as keeping your engine clean using BP Ultimate.
We're a family-owned company making Aussie-made seat covers. Our range of high-quality materials provides Black Duck seat covers can handle everyday adventures.
Go.
When you need refueling fast, you can rely on Mrs. Max. Tasty, easy, speedy. If it's not a...
Welcome back to round 6 of the BP Supercars.
Austin, Texas, the capital from turn 1 to turn 16 is incredibly busy. Track limits are going to need to be respected around here, and we've circled a couple of the hot spots, and track limits we'll talk about as well, because that bit people in the Armour All Top 10 shootout, notably Lando Norris and Jack Le Brocq. Race considerations, I mentioned a compulsory pit stop, 75 points to win. Gorgeous weather as it has been for each of the rounds so far. Remarkable how consistent the weather has been. And the predicted pit stop will drop in somewhere between laps 2 and 7.
We need to figure out how we can get that switch in the real world, Crompo. Now, you may have heard our commentators refer to the term line locker through our bustle. To explain exactly what that is, here's our pit reporter, Jonathan Simon.
So just like the real world, you want to start these supercars with a line locker. So what I'll do here is I have the line locker engaged to a button on the steering wheel. I'll engage that button. I want to engage first gear, and then I want to modulate the clutch to about 30-40% and the throttle to about 40%. And as I rev the engine, that'll rev the car. And as soon as the lights go out, I release the line locker, gradually increase the throttle, decrease the clutch, and that'll give us the best getaway in our supercar.
So all of our E-Series Championship drivers refueled, rehydrated and ready to race as we take a look at our truck assist starting grid. And this is a familiar sight. Maddie, Shane Van Gisbergen and Anton off the starting grid. Front row, will there be trouble?
I guarantee there will be trouble. Don't know if it's going to come from the front row of the grid, but it will come in some form. Welcome back to the E-Series for Will Power. He's alongside Scott McLaughlin. Row 3 belongs to Lee Holdsworth for truck assist. And the Mobil 1 Appliances online entry of Chaz Mostert. Lando Norris had a good crack at Spa last week. He wants to go around again in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. This is the biggest grid that we've had in the series so far. There are 31 entrants, 6 wild cards, 21 Commodores and 10 Mustangs. Good week out for Gary Jacobson last week. He was on the podium at Spa. Position 17, the Dunlop Super Dealer entry of Nick Percat with Scotty Pye in the DeWalt car next to him. Then it's Irwin Racing's Mark Winterbottom against Fabian Coulthard, who was a winner at Austin back in 2013. He won one of the 4 races that we had. Jamie Wingcup won the other 3, and he will start from position number 24 alongside Davey. There's Austin Cindric, car 56 for Ford Performance, the local Legends entry of Alex Davison. Garth Tander, a 3-time Bathurst champion and a 2007 Series champ alongside Rick Kelly. Craig Lowndes from position number 29. Isn't it great to see car 888 back on the grid, albeit virtually? And Jack Smith will get away from position 31. That is your truck assist starting grid. So race 18, 75 points, as Crompo said, on the line, 11 laps ahead of us. And it's about 40.7 kilometres worth of racing. Let's go racing in Texas, Neil.
Circuit of the Americas, our first of 3 big races for this evening from the pole. Shane Van Gisbergen jumps nicely at the flick of the lights, moves to the inside as they move dramatically uphill. Trouble in the background already. I think it was Fife that was rotating at the back of the field, the young driver that's been drafted in from Dunlop Super 2. People running wide over the top of the hill. It's a blind approach up to turn 1. Hard to pick an apex there, and remember they're on cold tyres. And here's where all the complexity begins. So at turns 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you can get the trend here. Track limits have got to be respected, so it's very easy to step wide of the line. Van Gisbergen over Anton De Pasquale, Scott McLaughlin. Lee Holdsworth's moved up 1 spot in the truck assist entry. He's displaced Will Power, Cam Waters, Chaz Mostert. Lando Norris is in 8th position, and Jake Kostecki's inside the 10 at the moment, but it looks pretty willing at the back of the top 10 at the moment, Matty.
Yeah, it's a fabulous sight, isn't it, Neil, as they come across that hairpin right up the very top of turn 1, and then it just starts to cascade. Left, right, left, right. They used to do a short, sharp turn off what would be the Formula 1 circuit. So this is a shorter circuit, 3.7k. Shane Van Gisbergen has the lead by about a second over Anton De Pasquale. Will Power in position number 5, so he's dropped back a spot in the Verizon Shell V-Power entry with a bit of damage to the right-hand side of that Mustang. Up to turn 18 for the first time. That'll release them onto this long front straight. Big grandstand on the right, pit lane on the left, and it's a big climb, about 20 odd metres up to turn 1.
And if you're a fan of the Red Bull team, as you watch Lee Holdsworth have a dip down the inside at turn 1 on Will Power. Now, he's actually managed to get alongside, but he's not ideally positioned for turn 2, and he's going to have to drop in behind line astern. So if you're trying to pick your favourite of the Red Bull drivers, Craig Lowndes has got yellow wheels on his Commodore, Garthander blue wheels, Shane Van Gisbergen white wheels, and Jamie's the dark guy of the gang. He's got dark blue on his. So just in case you're trying to unthread who's what and where in Red Bull land.
Red Bull Wiggles.
Chaz Exotic, bottom right-hand corner of screen. He's off to a pretty solid start here. So he's sitting in 6th position at the moment, torturing the back of Lee Holdsworth near the truck assist entry. That's the Mobil 1 Appliances online car. And there's Cam Waters, who's doing very, very solid work in this championship at the moment, also lurking around there in 7th position. Andre Heimgartner running very wide in the Ned Mustang. And all of this midfield complexity, Matty, which is pretty much everything from where they peel off what would normally be the Formula 1 circuit and start to work through turn 9 all the way through to 17. Just a never-ending sequence of left and right. Observation tower in the middle is 77 metres high. And already some trouble in the opening lap as people are exploiting track limits, and that's something that they'll accumulate incident points for. We'll keep an eye on that. We'll also check in from time to time with the Driving Standards Advisor, who regularly plays the role in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship. It's a very good evening and welcome to Craig Baird.
Hey guys, how are we? We've got a little drama already. Jake Kostecki, unsafe re-entry, taking out Jack LeBrock, car 55, which is going to be a drive-through penalty.
Right, thanks for the update, Craig Baird. And Nash Morris in the background, just in the bunker, keeping an eye on these drivers, trying to herd cats, making sure that all 31 of them actually behave themselves throughout the evening. So Van Gisbergen, Di Pasquale and Scott McLaughlin. Probably a good chance to check in with our Pertec pit reporters as well, Chad Nailon and Jonathan Simon, for an update on what's going on from their perspective and what iRacing are telling us as well. Good evening, boys.
Evening, Crompo. One of the big talking points so far tonight has already been incident points, and that'll be a common thread throughout the entire night. Jonathan, it dominated the discussion last week out at Spa, and I just heard Scott McLaughlin already on the back channels going, how many incident points do I get? Because they do vary throughout the courses of the racing tonight.
And only 17 for this first race. Supercars have clamped down on that. They don't want to see track abuse limits here at the Circuit of the Americas. So 17 to use over 11 laps, and you do receive 4 if you make car contact. So it's not just for cutting the track.
So there'll be a few drivers who have already clocked up a few in that opening lap. One driver, Jack LeBrock, very unlucky, like we just heard from Craig Baird, but the seas parted for him a few corners later. He picked up 6 spots in about 2 corners, so making his way back through the field after qualifying in the shootout.
Thanks for the update, boys. So Jake Kostecki's already got 6 to his name. Jack LeBrock 5. Will Davison's got 5 of those. So 17 points is the upper limit in our first and second races for this evening as people are peeling off. And for our third and longer race this evening, that'll be bumped up to 25 points. Todd Hazelwood departs the pit lane. And in reality, it's such a cool visual to stand in the pit lane and look up towards turn 1 at that racetrack. And Matty, you were in the pit lane with us when we went there in 2013. In fact, there are 14 of our 31 drivers in the field that were participant when we last went there, and it was one of the all-time visits for supercars to any of the venues that we've been overseas.
Yeah, first trip for North America for the supercars. It was a standout success. It's an awkward rejoin, I reckon, too, Crompo, out of that pit lane as you come right up to the top of the hill, because it's that sharp left-hander, the hairpin up at turn 1 before you start heading down towards the S's. So Shane Van Gisbergen, a 0.75 the second lead over Anton Di Pasquale. Scott McLaughlin with 5 incident points next to his name is in 3rd position from Will Power. Then it's Holdsworth, Mostert, Cam Waters, Lando Norris in 8th, Bryce Fullwood in 9th, and Gary Jacobson in position number 10.
Got 9 Bathurst champions in this field tonight and 6 supercar champions. It's been a bit of Aussie success at this location as well, that I might just squeeze away while we get a chance. Mark Webber was on the podium back in 2013 behind the newly unemployed Sebastian Vettel and Roman Grosjean. So he was 3rd 2013. Daniel Ricciardo had a 3rd in 2014 behind Lewis Hamilton and Nico Rosberg. And the same result for Daniel in 2016 as well, behind the same two drivers. And so those that were successful from the supercar brigade, as we watch Cam really torturing now on the back of Chaz Mostert. Jamie Whincup came away with 3 poles, 3 wins and a third, so it was a great haul. And if you recall at the time, every time we went overseas, and down the inside comes Waters, and that was a nice move. In fact, Chaz has actually had to lose a little bit of ground there also to Lando Norris in the Mobil 1 Arrow Racing entry. So Lando sneaking on by, 20 years of age from McLaren, 11th in the World Championship last year. Fabian Coulthard had a pole, a win, a second and a couple of thirds as well. And Craig Lowndes ended up with 3 seconds. Shane Van Gisbergen ended up with a third. So no surprise that the heavyweights that we frequently see on our podiums in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship, it was the same back then 7 years ago. Whincup, Coulthard, Lowndes and Van Gisbergen.
Just been told too, Crompo, that Chaz Mostert stepped aside there for cutting the track, so it was a yield for those positions. So Lando Norris decides to take his first and only compulsory pit stop. Pretty wild entry into pit lane. He may have a new teammate, Lando, next year in the Formula One world as well. Deep breath. He had a ball last time around at Spa, and it's great that he's come back to play again.
So Will Power's actually at the head of the queue at the moment for the drivers that have actually stopped. That might benefit him if he got the benefit of some undercut. Van Gisbergen's service in and done, rejoins. 8 seconds to get the wheels and tyres on, about 18.5 seconds on average to transit the pit lane. That was McLaughlin that you could see in the background behind him in the Shell V-Power Racing Mustang. Alex Davison lurking in there as well. Alex was one of the drivers that participated back there in 2013. He's in the local legends entry, the yellow and black Holden Commodore number 19. We'll go back to Melbourne now to the Pertec pit reporters with Chad and Jonathan.
One of the really cool things about iRacing, Neil, is that you can bring a spotter, which acts as your race engineer in a normal supercars world. Well, it's a battle of the Kosteckis. We've got Brody Kostecki engineering Anton De Pasquale and Kurt Kostecki spotting for Shane Van Gisbergen over there in New Zealand, and they're working against each other. Jonathan, what we're seeing right now is a similar undercut versus overcut scenario to what they did against each other in Spa.
And this same strategy led to a final lap battle between Gizzy and Anton De Pasquale last week. Here he dives in for his 26.5-second trip through the pit lane with a pit stop for tyres. He's got to nail it. There's time to be found on that entry.
So expect Shane Van Gisbergen to still be ahead after this pit stop as a few drivers barrel into that outside wall in the background and get a quick fix straight away, so there's no actual real, I guess, downside to hitting that wall. But remember, Anton will have that 1 lap advantage on his rubber at the end of this pit stop.
Thank you, boys. Yeah, the Kosteckis certainly made a name for themselves in this E-Series in many ways. Both Jake and Brody on the podium.
Jake sitting 14th in the championship coming into the round. Now, let's see what happens at the rejoin here. And does he get the jump done? It's going to be very, very close at the top of the hill, and Van Gisbergen closes down. Car number 97, the white wheels on the Red Bull Holden Racing Team Commodore. So Van Gisbergen over Anton De Pasquale. It's been a familiar song so far in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Nick Percat in the Dunlop Super Dealers Brad Jones Racing entry is the only car that's yet to stop. Everybody else has done their stop. And the fastest lap has been flicking backwards and forwards between Van Gisbergen and De Pasquale. So Anton's done a 1 minute 30.878.
Here he is, Craig Lowndes. Car 888, Red Bull Holden Racing.
So he's sitting in 28th position and just behind Chris Pither in the Coca-Cola Racing Team Sydney entry and in front of Jake Kostecki. Going to have a look at a replay here on the VP Ultimate replay of Lando Norris. He's working away at the back of Cam Waters here. In fact, a little bit too close for comfort, and he's tipped him. And Waters wanders off to the edge of the track and rejoins. Cam came into today's round 74 points shy of the championship leader, Scott McLaughlin. There is Lando Norris. Lowndes doesn't look too flash there, all the way down the right-hand side of that car. It's been shark pit.
Same spot. So Cam Waters started inside the top 10. That put him down into position 14. The ultimate replay shows that Lowndes did it all by himself.
Yeah. Ouch. Ride him, cowboy. Looked a bit wild over the top of those curbs, didn't it? So, and he'll need a turbo quick fix to get that all pointed in the right direction. It's got about 3 metres of toe in on the right front wheel there, so quick wheel alignment and away he goes. Van Gisbergen over De Pasquale and Scott McLaughlin at the moment. They are the top three. Back to the bunker in Queensland. Driving Standards advisor Craig Baird.
Yeah, guys, back to the bad news bunker, but Lando Norris has unloaded Cam Waters without doubt, so a drive-through penalty. Never issued one to a Formula One driver before, but he's going to receive a drive-through penalty for fencing poor Cam Waters.
There goes your VIP pass to the McLaren garage, Beardo.
You were waiting to do that.
I can feel that happening.
So Lando Norris currently in position 6. So drive through pit lane is roughly 19 seconds. So that will drop him down the field when he gets the news, the bad news from Beardo's bunker.
And he said, Lando said, and there he is on screen, bottom right-hand corner, to Jess at the top of the show that he made a few mistakes last week and he wanted to tidy those up. It was still a heck of a debut, though. So in his first E-Series Supercar run, he gets on the podium, position number 3, 19th in that reverse grid race as he comes in to serve the penalty, and then 10th in the final race. Remember, in the IndyCar E-Series battle as well, he had that monstrous battle with the 500 winner Simon Pagenaud that caused some sparks, and a spin and win at this very location, Circuit of the Americas. So he's had some success and failure in the IndyCar series. Mark Winterbottom for Irwin Racing. Charlie Schwerkolt brings it up on the pit straight. Frosty was one of the drivers there back in 2013. And where's he sitting at the moment? He's 19th, and the entire field has completed their compulsory stop. We've got a whisker over 2 laps remaining now in this one, and it's about a 1 second margin between first and second, and a bit bigger gap then back to Scott McLaughlin. It's roughly about 4 3/4 seconds. Will Power does a great job, considering this is not natural to him driving a supercar, and he's bursting to go to Mount Panorama at some stage in a supercar. Lee Holdsworth, Chaz Mostert, Gary Jacobson, as you mentioned, Matty, on the podium last week. Andre Heimgarten with all that bright, shiny new gear around him at the moment. Bryce Fullwood and Will Davison for Milwaukee Racing in 10th position.
So at the moment, the podium reads the top 3 contenders that we've had since this E-Series began. Van Gisbergen, De Pasquale and Scotty McLaughlin, the championship leader. So Lando Norris has rejoined the field in position number 16. Every time we see Andre Heimgartner and the Ned Racer, as Austin Cindric finds some trouble in the Ford Performance Mustang. You mentioned about Andre Heimgartner being so consistent. The Ultimate Replay here will tell us what happened perhaps to Austin Cindric. And this may involve Scotty Pye in the DeWalt entry. Just a little touch is enough to swing the Mustang around.
Bad enough getting turned around in the case of Austin in the Ford Performance number 56 Mustang, which celebrates 56 years of the pony car. But it's horrible o'clock in eastern US as well. It's 5:30 in the morning, so it makes it even worse. I had to get up early to be turned. So he's done a great job so far in the Xfinity series at the start of the second tier NASCAR competition so far in 2020, and they will be going racing again in the not too distant future. Jack Smith, SCT Logistics car on screen. We'll pick up our race leader now. Now that margin's opened up just in the, well, it was only a lap or so back that I mentioned it. We've got about a lap and a half to go. So I was talking about it floating around 1 second. It's out to nearly 3 seconds, Van Gisbergen over De Pasquale, and then McLaughlin back in the distance. You can see just glimpses of Anton in the background there.
And so Shane heading towards win number 6. He's top of the list in terms of wins at the moment with 5 next to his name. He's also heading towards his 9th podium. Another strong haul of points for these guys. Anton De Pasquale. He's been on the podium 7 times, with 2 of those being victories. Remember how they finished this one. Will be a reverse grid start for the next race. Race 19. Same distance, over 11 laps. Same amount of points on offer, but a reverse grid race. And at the moment, down the back end of this board is Craig Lowndes and Josh Fife. So we could have Lounsey on the front row of the grid for the reverse gridder next up. But as they head out on the final lap, 3.7 kilometres to go for this first race here at the Circuit of the Americas. And Shane Van Gisbergen has done this his way. In the moment that he got the jump or kept the jump after the compulsory pit stop on Anton De Pasquale. He has never looked back. It's a 2-second lead, and he is absolutely cruising to this victory. It'll be another podium for Anton, another podium as well for Scott McLaughlin, and Will Power's done a terrific job. He's currently 4th. Lee Holdsworth is in 5th. Chaz Mostert, Gary Jacobson, Andre Heimgartner, Will Davison and Jack LeBrock looking at top 10 finishes.
Van Gisbergen clicked over another digit since we last saw him as well. Ripe old age of 31 now, birthday on the 9th of May. Lines it up out of the final corner, and he's going to get 75 points for his trouble in the first race this evening and consolidating his mighty position as a winner in this series. That moves him on to victory number 6 in 2020 for the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. And that result for Anton's precisely what he needs at the moment to try and claw his way back up the points. He came into the round tonight in 5th. So well done to the Penrite racer, Anton De Pasquale. Scott McLaughlin in 3rd position. Will Power, Lee Holdsworth and Chaz Mostert. Gary Jacobson, Andre Heimgartner, Will Davison, Jack LeBrock. That is the 10. So a good solid run in particular for Anton, and he'll be banking those points as the boys play their games at the top of the hill there. And then vanish. Viewpoint from Shane Van Gisbergen's car. So he's got great pace, hasn't he? And just his touch. Remember that he's parked up in New Zealand at the moment. He's not using his regular gear. It seemingly hasn't affected him one iota in being able to get pole positions and solid race results. There's the confirmation for you. The next page is interesting. Zane Goddard, another good job, followed by Nick Percat. Garth Tander, one of the wild cards, finishing in position number 13. He's at the Melbourne Performance Centre plying his trade this evening. Cam Waters, after he got shoved wide down in 21st, that'll hurt the driver that came into this round in 2nd position. Koala race highlights, Matthew.
It was very E-Series-like, I think, this one, Crompo, because it was not as crazy as we've seen. Josh Fife got a bit of trouble off the start, and he ended up into the wall along that main straight. But Shane Van Gisbergen got the jump, did it beautifully. Anton De Pasquale followed him beautifully as well, and Scott McLaughlin had a little bit of push and shove at the top of the hill there at turn 1 before deciding to just back away. Jack LeBrock in the Super Cheap Auto entry struggled there, but managed to get back on. And Austin Cindric, in his first outing in this BP Supercars series, has had his hands full. He's been boxed left, right and centre, and will return for the 2nd race of this evening with a much fresher looking Ford Performance Mustang. So that was the moment that Lando Norris tipped off Cam Waters. Craig Baird sent him through pit lane for his troubles for this one, and Lounsey just decided to come in at full steam and test the limits of the circuit of the Americas racetrack. It bit hard. That's the contact there for Cindric from Scotty Pye. But again, Shane Van Gisbergen cruises to victory in this one. He did it his way here. Absolutely brilliant. Victory number 6. And another strong points haul as we go to the reverse gridder next up, Jess.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky for Shane starting at the back of the grid, but let's get into our Coopers live chat. Our race winner joins us on the line. Shane, congratulations. Race win number 6 in the bank. You must be really pleased in being able to gather some points because you're not sitting that far behind Scotty McLaughlin in terms of the championship in this E-Series.
Okay, I wasn't looking at the points, but yeah, awesome race. Great to have the run there. And yeah, awesome battle with Anton and Scotty again. It was quite close between us. So yeah, just managing the gap, trying to pit at the right time. And but yeah, that if there ever is an easy race, it's that one. Although it's never easy. The next one is where the carnage happens. So I'm sure Cam Waters will somehow win this one, and yeah, the points will be on.
Well, we can't wait to see all the drama and carnage. Good luck in the next one. It is time for a quick break as we reset for more racing. This is the perfect time to refuel thanks to Mac Delivery. Get all your Macca's favourites delivered straight to your door, contact free. We'll be back right after this for more BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series.
Have you always wanted to be a Supercars commentator? Well, now's your chance thanks to Shaw, presented by Jans. Head to the Supercars Facebook page tomorrow and post a video of yourself commentating over the supplied vision on Facebook or Instagram with the hashtags Commentate the Stars and VASC for your chance to win. The BP Supercars All-Star E-Series is proudly brought to you by Mrs. Max. Refuel with a Mrs. Max.
Go.
When you need refueling fast, you can rely on Mrs. Max. Tasty, easy, speedy. If it's not a Mrs. Max, take it back.
Hi, my name's Bert, and I'm a big fan of the supercars.
Huge damage.
It's my job to make sure everything's clean. It's pretty easy to keep things clean while the drivers are working from home. Oh, Rick, you're getting crumbs everywhere. It's a lot easier to clean things up in the E-Series.
Push of a button, he's back in pit lane.
Still, not as easy as keeping your engine clean using BP Ultimate.
Black Duck seat covers are bred for adventure. We're a family-owned company making Aussie-made seat covers. Our range of high-quality materials provides strength, performance and comfort. Perfect for all those Aussies who work hard and play harder. Black Duck seat covers can handle everyday adventures. Put them to the test. Get yours today from one of our trusted resellers nationwide or visit blackduck.com.au for more information.
My passion for cars began when Nana and Pop bought their new Toyota Crown. It was Nana's, really. She loved that car. We went everywhere in it. My passion now is just the same, even though my cars are a little different. I've still got Nana's car, couldn't part with it. And I reckon if she was here today, she'd be insured with Shannon's too.
Call Shannon's on 13 46 46. Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
The BP Supercars All-Star E-Series is proudly brought to you by Mrs. Max. Refuel with a Mrs. Max. You can support your favourite team or driver during the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Purchase your Supercars Championship or team merchandise today. Head to supercars.com/merch.
It's great to have you with us for round 6 of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series as we gear up for race 19, of course. It is a reverse grid and they have, without doubt, been the most entertaining and dramatic of our E-Series. Craig Lowndes is one of our wildcards tonight and he joins us now. Hey, Lowndesy, welcome back to Supercars, even if it is virtually. You're going to start this next race from the front row of the grid. You having fun yet?
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. And I've worked really hard to be on that front row then. And I think that it's quite amazing when you do your own practice and everything else, it's not so bad. But when you've got 30 or now 33 other cars around you, I got a cracking start, got Garth and I got wheel spun and then I got turned around. And then, of course, it all went pear-shaped after that.
Yeah, we could see. We saw the whole thing unfold. It's good to see that your pit crew's well and truly on their toes tonight and ready to go. Tell us, how much sim stuff have you actually done before tonight? And has Shane Van Gisbergen given you any tips or any coaching?
Yeah, actually, Shane's been really good, to be honest. I think there's no doubt about that. But I guess probably the last 48 hours, it's been intense trying to get the multiple screens up and running. You know, we've had some MyTech people come in and give us a hand to try and get up to speed. But to be honest, I think that's really it's something I need to do a lot more of.
Well, the pressure's on Lowndesy off the front row in this one. Good luck.
Yeah, cheers, thanks.
All right, let's jump into the Hino Hub now to get all the race considerations with Neil Crompton.
Jess, this one is the reverse grid based on the finishing order of our previous race, which was the 18th in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. As has been the case recently, there will be a compulsory pit stop. Again, the winner will pick up 75 points. The weather's the same as it's always been. This time you could see some people diving in on lap 1 to get out of the congestion. That window closes about lap number 7. One other thing that's worth noting here, and we'll try and keep you as up to date with these facts as we can, is incident points. And there are 17 of those available as a credit to the drivers in the field for our second sprint race for this afternoon. The next one's going to be the longer one with 2 stops.
Hey, Crumpo, we've got a really cool competition running. Thanks to BP, fans now have the chance to compete as a wild card in round 8 of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. To enter, simply head to the competition landing page on supercars.com and complete the entry form. Go to iRacing.com, join the BP Wildcard Time Attack session and set your fastest lap around Phillip Island. That is something to look forward to indeed. All right, let's take a look at the Truck Assist starting grid. Maddie, reverse order. There's been a bit of debate around this, whether the drivers like it or not. I say it is fantastic. We need to keep it. This is going to be interesting.
I think Josh Fife and Loudsey would say it's fantastic as well. They're off the front row of the grid. Then it's Lando Norris and Jake Kostecki from row 2. The brute military grade entry of Todd Hazelwood with Bryce Fullwood next to him. Alex Davison, the local Legends car, against Team Sydney's Chris Pither, positions 7 and 8. Jack Smith has Austin Cindric next to him for positions 9 and 10. Then we find Rick Kelly and Cam Waters, who's been ultra consistent. Scotty Pye got into a little bit of trouble there with Cindric. He's got David Reynolds alongside him. The Shell V-Power entry of Fabian Coulthard and the Cool Drive car of Macaulay Jones. Then it's Irwin Racing's Mark Winterbottom and Jamie Wingcup from Red Bull Holden Racing Team with Garth Tander in position 19. He's running car number 42 for this evening, which is his wife Leanne's number. Zane Goddard and Jack LeBrock make up 21 and 22. Andre Heimgartner in position number 24. Then it's Gary Jacobson and Chaz Mostert as we go down towards the rear of the grid for Lee Holdsworth and Will Power, who were so strong in that first race. And then we'll find our podium sitters. So with Van Gisbergen winning from De Pasquale and McLaughlin, that's the 3rd time in this series that those guys have finished 1, 2, 3. Also happened in our last race at Spa and in Canada in race 11. So they will get away from the rear of this Truck Assist starting grid. 31 cars, Crompo, 75 points, 11 laps. The official slogan of Austin is "Keep Austin Weird." I don't think they're going to have much trouble in this reverse grid race.
I reckon we can pretty much bank on the fact that these guys will very definitely keep it weird for us for the next 11 laps. And we discovered all of that and some in 2013 when we were there. So Todd Hazelwood, Lee Holdsworth, Rick Kelly limbering up, making sure that he's ready to fire in that partially homemade sim of his. There are 20 Bathurst victories across 9 different Bathurst winners in this field this evening. A vast amount of experience, 6 supercar champions. And that's Austin Cindric, who's 3rd in the Xfinity Series, driving for Team Penske in the NASCAR second-tier competition. So we're looking forward to seeing what can happen here, remembering that Fife and Lowndes are off row number 1. Scott Pye was in some contact in that previous event. He's in the DeWalt entry for Charlie Schwerkolt. Lando Norris will have pace if he can apply it. That's him, position 3, row number 2 on the grid. He's already had a podium in E-Series competition for supercars. And we are racing. Fife gets away nicely. Up on the outside of him is Lowndes. Lando Norris drops in behind, and trouble at the back of the pack. It involves one of the Shell V-Power cars. Mark Winterbottom's involved. There's one of the Red Bull cars as well. Chris Pither, Andre Heimgartner in trouble at the top of the hill. Reverse grid races. The shunts are bigger than Texas.
It's a roll call. It's another one as well. So Scotty McLaughlin finding trouble there. So too did Fabian Coulthard, and he's drifted all the way down towards the back. So Todd Hazelwood has grabbed the lead of this race. Behind him is Joshua Fife. He started on the front row. The unit entry went in sideways there, and so did the Red Bull racer. Wow, so that was Lounsey.
It was, and he evaporated in the middle of it. I think I Dream a Genie blinked himself into disappearance because it looked pretty ugly, all crossed up and out of shape there. It was a good thing to do. So as predicted, Jess was onto it. There will be some chaos in this, and it's not done yet. So there are people firing everywhere. That's another Red Bull. There's a few to pick from. That's another Red Bull car in the background that just fired off into the virtual weeds. Hazelwood is the leader for brute military strength. He'll be sweating up somewhat at the moment with Lando Norris tucked in behind. Cam Waters, Shane Van Gisbergen tipped him to come through. Jake Kostecki, Bryce Fullwood for Mobile 1 and Middies. Then Josh Fife, Alex Davison, Scott Pye, David Reynolds, Austin Cindric. That's the 10, but it's changing by the second out there. Austin, bottom right-hand corner of screen. Former Bathurst winner David Reynolds on screen there as well for Penrite Racing. He's in car number 9. Now, somebody peeled off in the background. I think it was Will Davison. In fact, he's got quite a few friends in the lane. So I mentioned this in the Hino Hub, that people will take themselves out of the congestion at the earliest possible moment. So there's a good, I'm just doing a rough guess here, 8 to 10 cars involved. LeBrock, Winterbottom, Coulthard, who needs a massive fix on that thing. Macaulay Jones is another of them in the Cool Drive entry. Mac has supplied me with some coffee earlier in the week. Thanks, Mac. It's handy. You know he roasts his own coffee beans?
I did not know that.
Now you know.
Now I know.
See, this is the place to come for
things
really
you learn in
important
Texas.
facts.
Eh?
Yeah.
Well, come to Texas or come to the
Both.
Bank of Neil?
Both. Jack LeBrock is in front of Will Davison in the Milwaukee entry, and that was Macaulay, who might have had his thoughts on roasting, getting out of shape at the top of the hill there at turn 1. Here's the start replay. Josh Fife gets away from the Armour All pole position. Lowndes up on the outside. That glory wasn't to last too long for Craig, who's having a bit of trouble around the back of the pack. Down the order here, there's a heap of them. 6, 7, 8 cars. Lee Holdsworth did a good job, took to the motocross line on the outside. Chris Pither turned around at the top of the hill. Scott McLaughlin was actually one of them. I didn't see Scotty in there before, so that's important.
Well,
he's actually
missed,
19th now.
Yeah, he missed most of the stuff that got his teammate, as you can see there, Fabian. But when they got to the top of the hill and he turned hard left, there were about 3 or 4 cars waiting for him to hit, and he had nowhere to go. So McLaughlin, some pretty full-on damage on lap 1. So let's run you through the leaders. Todd Hazelwood from Lando Norris. Then it's Cam Waters as we take a look at Shane Van Gisbergen taking a dive nice and easy on the inside of Nick Percat. Jake Kostecki in 4th, Bryce Fullwood, then Josh Fife, Alex Davison, Davey Reynolds, Anton Di Pasquale, and Austin Cindric in position number 10. The Bunnings trade power pass, power play, and this will be the easy one for Shane Van Gisbergen.
So he's moved up to 11th position now ahead of Nick Percat. Next in the queue for him, Austin Cindric, I beg your pardon, in 10th position. So Shane didn't stop. First car that is actually in the queue that stopped. That's a change for the lead there. So a battle going on here at the moment between Lando and Todd. These guys are at it. And the first car in the queue that has stopped is actually Scott Pye.
So Lando actually got the lead there. Sorry, Crompo, just for a brief second. Then Todd got it back off him, but it's back on again.
So exchanging places, and we know that Lando's got speed. In fact, Anton said to me last week that he thought that Lando is probably the best E-Series racer that he's seen, and fully expected him to be able to win a supercar race as well, such as his skill. He's putting it to good use there at the moment, dives down the inside at the final corner, turn 19, and scoots out the other side ahead of the race face, Todd Hazelwood. He's really thinking hard about it, isn't he? He's really got his race face on. So it covers down the inside Lando Norris on the run up towards turn number 1. Still hits his markers there. And it's Cam Waters not very far behind these guys. So in Lando and in Cam, they've got pretty good E-Series speed in their sims. They've been pretty strong throughout, and they're capitalising. Todd Hazelwood's doing a super job here as well and hanging in touch with them. And he came into the round in 16th position. Further back car number 34 here. 344, I beg your pardon, is Jake Kostecki, and he's got Bryce Fullwood tucked in behind. That's the viewpoint from the Mobile 1 Middies car, Bryce Fullwood, who's done away with the virtual system. So he's using a Mark 1 eyeball instead now and a television.
He was on the podium in that first round that we had at Phillip Island. The race that Jack LeBrock won. Chaz Moster was second, and he was third. Yeah, he was holding on.
He had the rear brakes locked on that thing. heavily there, and he's kind of sprint carted into the corner. He held on to it.
So first of the list to pit is actually Chaz Mostert at the moment. He's down in position number 15, and Lando Norris at the front here has taken the opportunity to just push a little bit further ahead. He's got a 1.1 second lead over Todd Hazelwood.
This is bringing us back onto the pit straight and gives you a very accurate viewpoint of what it looks like on the run to turn one. The iRacing graphics are genuinely extraordinary, and you can see from the driver's viewpoint here, it's almost impossible to see that apex, particularly when there's another car in front and it masks the ideal line. And so there's a little bit of guesstimation involved in trying to position yourself ideally there. So it's even harder when you're trying to pass someone down the inside. Car number 140, who regularly drives in Super 2, Josh Fife. He was in the Kumo Series last year, and this year driving in the Dunlop Super 2 Series. I think he's 11th from memory in the championship after the races. We had 3 of them in Adelaide at the opening round of that series for this season, and he's got a real serious pedigree in karting, not only in Australia but internationally as well, and runs under the banner with Brad Jones Racing. Back to Alex Davidson. Local legends, car number 19, and he's got Shane Van Gisbergen behind him, but I suspect with the pace that Shane's carrying at the moment, not for long. And Shane fires down the inside. Alex was really courteous, saw him in the mirror, gave him space, gives him easy passage, and so that moves Shane up to 6th now. Josh Fife is next in the queue for him.
Alex will be happy to see guys like Garth Tander and Craig Lowndes in the field, a couple of other 40-somethings to just bring the average age up a little bit. He's been in the wars in the local legends car, but he's been out there fighting 74 career races and back into the full-time main game at late notice this year, but we'll have to wait for the resumption of play in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship. So now they do the pit lane dance, and that will leave Bryce Forward and Shane Van Gisbergen out as Lando Norris comes in. Todd Hazelwood is there. Car 344 of Jake Kostecki, and there's Josh Fife and Alex Davo. Now Pertec pit stop, so let's check in with our Pertec pit reporters. Guys, what do you got?
Been a really good battle on track between Chaz Mostert, Scott Pye, Anton De Pasquale, and that's exactly where Lando was hoping to come out. So it's going to be a pretty good battle between those guys towards the end of this race. Just a little shout out to Dane Warren, the guy who's engineering or spotting for Lando this week, and he's part of the Altus Esports connection, and he's leading the International Super Cup Championship, which is for one-make Porsches, a bit like Carrera Cup here on iRacing, and it carries a pretty hefty payday of up to $100,000, and he's engineering Lando at the moment out on track to try and pick up a few more spots, and he's a very experienced driver in Dane Warren, Jonathan.
Yeah, it definitely is, and this is a very good strategy for Norris. Although he's got traffic and Lowndes, he does have the effective lead. I'm getting a bit nervous watching this on screen, but the tyres do last a good 3 to 4 laps, so Norris should be good with that Dunlop rubber for the rest of the race.
So with a 3 to 4 lap window, it pretty much means that lap 7 is the last time you'd want to be coming into the pits.
Waters jumped Hazelwood in those stops as well. Thanks for the update there, boys. Pertec pit report. Lando Norris had a nail-biting moment trying to round up Craig Lowndes there. £24,000 worth of Pro Sim gear for Lando, so he's got some pretty serious kit underneath him. £24,000. Matt White money. Serious money.
It's pounds.
Yeah. Now,
it's scary money.
Most of the field have stopped with the exception of Van Gisbergen, Reynolds and Percat. Looking at the BP Ultimate Replay, Josh Fife inserting himself back into the field.
Didn't see that one coming out of pit lane. When I said earlier it's an awkward rejoin, I didn't think it would be that awkward. Very awkward when you're upside down.
And that was an awkward moment also for Zane Goddard. Just tripping over. It's so difficult, peripheral vision, understanding who's around you. And this is a very wide racetrack in reality as well. So this is the sort of stuff that we saw when we were there in 2013. So trouble here also for Macaulay Jones, Austin Cindric tangling.
Rick Kelly just avoided that. So we're looking down there at positions 21, 22. Ahead of them is Will Power and the Verizon Shell V-Power entry. So Shane Van Gisbergen, Davey Reynolds and Nick Percat yet to pit, which makes Lando Norris the first of compulsory pitters and therefore our effective race leader, depending on what kind of gap Van Gisbergen can get before he needs to complete that stop. Transit time is 18.5 seconds plus the 4 tyres, adds up to about 26.5 seconds in pit lane.
Kelly, Castrol Racing, 555 Virgin Australia Supercar Championship races to his credit. He's got Scott McLaughlin on the narrow line having a crack down the inside here. Remember that McLaughlin got tangled in the opening lap here. He's sitting down in 23rd position there behind Rick Kelly at the moment. So this is going to knock him around when you stop and consider that those that he's battling in the championship are faring better. Anton De Pasquale's 10th at the moment. Shane Van Gisbergen's the leader, but that'll correct. Still hasn't made his stop at the moment. He's 20-odd seconds up the road from Lando Norris. The Petter's underbody shot there, the damper cam. Petter's Super Shock became the control supplier for supercars at the commencement of the championship season, which we're hoping is going to resume in the not too distant future as things slowly but surely begin to ease with border controls and distancing around Australia. We've got our fingers crossed so that we can get back to some real Virgin Australia Supercars action as well. Great battle going on here at the moment between a couple of highly credentialed operators in Scott Pye and Will Davison.
Positions 10 and 11, Crompo, and Will has a look on the outside of Scotty Pye and almost went on the outside of the circuit. So Will grabbed his second podium of the series last week, second in the reverse grid race after being third in the reverse grid race at Bathurst. So he likes these middle ones. And here's Shane Van Gisbergen, BP Ultimate Replays. He's going to take it wide out onto the fake grass there.
He's eating up his track limits at the moment, and just looking at incident points as he comes into the lane for his compulsory stop together with Nick Percat. The leader in that top chart at the moment is Jake Kostecki. He's got 13. Remember, there's 17 available. So we're riding with Anton De Pasquale right-hand side of your screen at the moment as we look for the rejoin for Shane Van Gisbergen. So Anton's clear and he's down the inside of Bryce Fullwood at turn 1. So then Shane drops in ahead of Scott Pye.
Yeah, position 8. This is a big wild ride for Anton De Pasquale with Bryce Fullwood in the Mobil 1 Middies entry. So now we step it up a notch. Lap 9 out of 11 in the reverse grid race. The long one still to come. It's worth 150 points, the last race. But they've got their minds on this one, and this is looking dangerous for Anton De Pasquale as Chaz Mostert just has a look on the inside. He won't be able to make a move there on Bryce Fullwood. Lando Norris has control of the race by 1.5 seconds over Cam Waters. Then it's Todd Hazelwood, Jake Kostecki, and then we find this group, 5th, 6th and 7th.
It's interesting looking at the different lines that they take through there. Some of them are willing to go on the shorter run, the narrow line, dirty down the inside, but they've actually pulled off some half-decent moves through there as well. So we're focused on Chaz Mostert and Bryce Fullwood. Mobil 1 cars line astern there at the moment. Lando Norris, also a Mobil 1 car, leads over Cam Waters and Todd Hazelwood. So this is potentially the second podium in 7 days for Lando Norris in BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series racing. Great watching that battle between Bryce and Chaz, teammates, 6th and 7th. That's a new combination coming into the new championship season, and it was a great start at the Superloop Adelaide 500 at the commencement of the championship season for Chaz in particular, and Bryce is our Dunlop Super 2 reigning champion, and I've got no doubt we're going to see a lot of him in the not too distant future based on his history in the game. Originally out of the Northern Territory, and he's hoping that we get back there later in the year. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people cheering for him. Dunlop curb cam shows how complex this racetrack is, all the way from turn 2 down to turn 9. It's just a constant left and right. Very difficult to be able to pass there as we pick up our race leader. He's got 2.5 seconds at the moment on Cam Waters. Todd Hazelwood still solidly in 3rd, and this will be potentially the best result for Todd if he can stay in that spot that he's had in the series thus far. He had a 10th in the 5th race in the UK. He was also 6th at one point in Montreal. So for Todd Hazelwood in the Brood entry, this could be pretty solid for him. Cam Waters, on the other hand, has actually had some pretty good results. He's had a win in the UK and a string of second places in Italy, Bathurst, Montreal, Spa, and a 3rd at Phillip Island.
He's stretching out this lead, Neil. Lando Norris is pulling away from Cam Waters as they head out on the final lap. Norris with 2.3 seconds, 20 years of age, normally plies his trade with the McLaren Formula One team. Debuted at the Australian Grand Prix at Albert Park last year. He's done 21 Formula One races. He's now done 4 completed races in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series, and he's heading for his first victory. Todd Hazelwood looking for a podium as well. He had a good battle early on with Lando, but couldn't maintain the fight. But right now, he's got a podium position in his sights. This man wanted to be a part of this series. He put his hand up last week at Spa. He came back again this week for the Circuit of the Americas, driving at home in his simulator in the UK, and he absolutely loves this series. What a performance. Early last month, he did a stretch where he spent 10 days doing 5 hours at a time in a simulator. He basically lived in the thing. And it's paying dividends this time around. I reckon he'll enjoy this one, Crompo. He knows this circuit. He's starting to get used to these cars, and he certainly knows how this iRacing platform works.
And he said to Jess earlier in the week, in fact, on Sidetrack, that he very much wants to have a run in a supercar. Zach Brown owns one. That'll happen at some stage. Checkered flag comes out. 75 points goes to the young Englishman, 20 years of age, and Lando Norris picks up his first Supercar E-Series win over Cam Waters. Good solid performance and the first podium in this competition for the Brute military grade backed Todd Hazelwood. Brad Jones Racing entry. Jake Kostecki, fine work as well from Anton De Pasquale. Good solid points. So tonight is working out very nicely for the Penrite driver. He's banking solidly and putting real genuine credits in the bank. So terrific job by Lando. Suspected that might be the case given where he was going to start, and pretty wild race at the very start. Craig Baird actually said to me that if it was going to be a monumental disaster, he was disconnecting the internet. Smart plan, Beardo.
Pull the plug, Beardo. Well done. So they go up to the top of turn 1. The BP Ultimate results show Lando Norris becomes our second wildcard winner of the series after Brock Feeney last week. Waters and Hazelwood on the podium. Great performance from Anton De Pasquale, as you'd imagine, also is Shane Van Gisbergen from last up to 7th. Scotty Pye inside the top 10. David Reynolds for Penrite Racing in 13th. As we work through, there's Will Power in 16th and Scotty McLaughlin a little bit behind him. Lownsy started on the front row of the grid, went all the way back, tried to piece his way back up towards the front and ended up in position number 24. So the grid for the next race will be determined by accrued points from the first 2 races of the evening. We'll bring those to you. So the Koala race highlights show Josh Fife and Lownsy starting on the front row of the grid, but you need to look back towards the rear to see all the trouble. That was Fabian Coulthard in a world of pain before he even hit the rise of the hill. And then his teammate Scott McLaughlin got up there as Chris Pither was spinning around, and a host of others as well. There's McLaughlin, whack left, right and centre, and the Ned racer of Andre Heimgartner lost his lid on approach to turn 2. Jack Smith had a few technical dramas, I believe, at the start of this race as well. Josh Fife here, this was extraordinary. Coming out of pit lane after his stop, up and over she goes. That's one hell of a way to rejoin the race circuit. Van Gisbergen pushed it to the limits in terms of track limits here in Texas, but Lando Norris in the Mobil 1 Arrow Racing Walkinshaw Andretti United Commodore claims his first victory. He did it well. He did it easy in the end by a couple of seconds over Cam Waters and Todd Hazelwood on the podium as well, Jess. That was a good one. So a long one coming up. It's worth 150 points, 20 lapper.
It certainly is. And Lando Norris, our race winner, joins us on the line. Well, you said tonight you wanted to have fun. You wanted to stay out of trouble. Congratulations. You managed to do that in that last race. It looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, no. It was good fun. I mean, race 1 wasn't. Race 1, I made a mistake, and I have to apologize that I took Cam out, which was it was my fault, and a bit of the reason because I'm in England and I'm in the UK and he's all the way in Australia. So I'm going to put a little bit of the blame to that, but it was also just my fault. So I apologize for that, first of all. And obviously then I just needed to take advantage after the drive-through of starting at the back and going for that. And it was good. I had decent pace, I think, and it was a nice little win.
You certainly did. 2 podiums in 2 weeks. So I'm guessing you're a massive fan of the reverse grid format.
Yeah, nah.
Your engine clean using BPL.
Years ago, BSA built more bikes than anyone in the world. Beautiful, handcrafted, proper works of art. Real enthusiasts understand. And Shannon's, of course. Young Mick's passion's a bit high-tech for me, but deep down, it's the same. And Shannon's understand that as well. Which is why Shannon's insure our bikes, cars, and now, even our home.
Call Shannon's on 13 46 46. Shannon's, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Go.
When you need refueling fast, you can rely on Mrs. Max. Tasty, easy, speedy. If it's not a Mrs. Max, take it back.
Hi, my name's Bert, and I'm a big fan of the supercars.
Huge damage.
It's my job to make sure everything's clean. It's pretty easy to keep things clean while the drivers are working from home. Oh, Rick, you're getting crumbs everywhere. It's a lot easier to clean things up in the E-Series.
Push of a button, he's back in pit lane.
Still, not as easy as keeping your engine clean using BP Ultimate.
The BP Supercars All-Star E-Series is proudly brought to you by Pioneer DJ, proudly distributed by Jans.
Welcome back. Great to have you with us for our triple header at the Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. For round 6 of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series, Todd Hazelwood finished on the podium in race 19. We've got him on the line. Hey, Todd, congratulations. That must have felt pretty good.
Yeah, that was awesome. Making the most, obviously, of the reverse grid situation, but not every day you get to say you can race a Formula 1 driver for the lead. So I'll tick that in my little book there. But thanks to brute military grade, I was smelling good, and I didn't break a sweat the whole time. So
we're so glad to hear that, Todd. What's been fantastic in this E-Series, obviously, is that we get to see you guys while you're in the throes of the action, right? No helmet. Your race face was something else when you were battling with Lando Norris. I have to say there are a few deep breaths happening.
They probably would have looked a bit scary. I don't think I even want to see that, to be honest. So I hope that brought a laugh to everyone watching at home, that's for sure.
Yeah, it was very, very cool. So what's your strategy in this next one? Obviously a longer race.
Look, that's probably the last race that's just gone. Is probably the first race I haven't been taken out in the first lap in the last 3 rounds. So that's the plan. Don't get taken out again, and hopefully we can keep this good form going and get the brute military feature coming all towards the front again.
Love your work. Well done on the podium. Have fun in this next one.
Cheers. Thanks, guys.
All right, let's take a quick overview of race 20 as we dive into the Hino Hub with Neil.
Yeah, race number 20, Jess. This one's a little bit longer. It's 20 laps, the journey here. A few more kilometres at hand, about 74 of them. And the key things that we need to understand, the grid will be determined by the cumulative points from races 18 and 19. 2 stops compulsory in this one, 150 points up for grabs. Same deal with the weather. And you're likely to see that first stop tucked away somewhere between 3 and 7 and laps 11 and 15 for the second stop. So they're the key things to keep an eye out for. Now, importantly, more incident points available as a credit for this one as well, 25 of those for this race.
All right, let's take a look at the Truck Assist starting grid, and it is our round leader, Maddie, who starts from pole position in this one. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, accrued points. The Truck Assist starting grid will show us who is also leading the push for $1,000 thanks to Armour All for their chosen charity, and at the moment it is Anton De Pasquale, so he'll start alongside Shane Van Gisbergen, Chaz Mostert and Cam Waters, then Scotty McLaughlin and Will Power. So remember, these guys are leading the charge in terms of points for the first 2 races. There's our race winner. Lando Norris becomes the first international winner for this series. Gary Jacobson and Todd Hazelwood, then Jack LeBrock and Jake Kostecki, the NTI entrant in position number 12. Truck Assist car of Lee Holdsworth, the Mustang, for 13, and then Nick Percat, the Dunlop Super Dealers, Commodore alongside him. So the point score or the tally after 19 races when it's Ford versus Holden, we've had 11 Commodore victories and 8 Mustang wins. We've had 10 different winners now after Lando Norris joined the winning group. Garth Tander from position 21. He's got Frosty alongside of him. There's Jamie Whincup and Rick Kelly, the Castrol Mustang. So 23 and 24 go to them. Alex Davison has Austin Cindric next to him. He actually won a bronze medal at the X Games at this location in Rallycross, Austin Cindric, so he knows this place. Macaulay Jones and Chris Pither. There's Jack Smith and Lounsey from position number 30. So look for the yellow wheels on the Red Bull Holden Racer, Craig Lowndes fans, and Josh Fife, who had a pirouette with Pike out of the out of pit lane in that last one, Crompo.
It was pretty wild.
What you call that move, is it?
Yeah.
Very, very good.
With Pike.
Yeah, I'm interested to know how this championship battle is going to shape up after this round. Obviously, Anton leading the round starting from pole. Shane Van Gisbergen right up there. But Anton was 294 points adrift of Scott McLaughlin, who was leading the charge heading into this round. And he's had a pretty good run tonight.
Yeah, really solid. So he's had a couple of really decent results and been crediting those points that we've been talking about at the top of the shows for the last several rounds, that if he's got that consistency, he's going to be a pest, because we know that he's got that great one-lap speed. It's been evident in his Armour All pole. So like I said right at the very beginning of all this, the tension's building as we start to build a championship picture towards the back end, Matt.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how they play this one. Remember I said at the top, we've had 3 150-point races. So this is when things get a little bit serious for these guys who are playing in this championship at the top end. And Scotty McLaughlin's won 2 out of those 3 150-point races. Shane Van Gisbergen, the other winner in that one.
It's quickly become more than a game, hasn't it? We've got Rick Kelly on the line. Hey, Rico, how's your night going so far?
Press the button, Rick. There you go.
Sorry, I'm still working out the technology in the wooden sim, but we're still getting involved in the first lap crashes. The wooden sim's more like a boat now. It's all flexing and moving around, so it might be pumped up great, but I'm going to get serious for this last one. I've taken the moccasins off, so it's going to...
Well, just talk us through that, because some drivers are wearing gloves, some have got real race boots on. You've obviously been running the UGG boots tonight. How do you work out what gear you're running?
Well, I'm just trying to copy what they're all doing, and they're currently listening to me in the warm-up and giving me grief, because I'm not even smart enough to work out how to turn the communication off on the game. But I've tried to make a few phone calls. Andre's helped me a lot, to be honest. He's got me a few seconds closer to the pace. I think there's only about 4 seconds now, and I'll be right up.
Oh, good to see some inter-team coaching going on. Good luck in this next one. We look forward to it. We've got Nick Percat standing by for us as well. Hey, Nick, Nelson's awake. Well done. Is this the normal time that he wakes up, or have you got him on your lap just having a bit of a pep talk heading into race 20?
This is not when he wakes up, but he's given me strategy, and it seems to be all right. Is he awake?
So what is his strategy for this one?
That strategy's got fleas.
I have no idea.
Oh, good.
Do I look like a cat to you? He's just driving. Going to the shops.
Oh, wow. In all seriousness, are you having a good time? And you know, what's next? What are we going to see in this next one?
Yeah, I love it, because there's a few that take it real serious, and there's a big bunch of us that just have fun, and I'm in the big bunch of having fun. And this track's, it's tricky, it's hard to pass with the off tracks and stuff like that, but what's he doing? This last one, survive turn 1, see how we go there.
Nelson's gone back to sleep. Time for Betty's. Good luck. 20 laps at the Circuit of the Americas. Nick Percat entertaining us all night long.
$100 if you let him do the first lap, Nick.
Yeah, watch this. He's been practicing. See, he gets his paws up, he's asleep again.
Well done, good luck. It's a dogathon. He's got... What's Craig's doggy's name?
Sleepy? Lola.
Lola.
Yeah.
It's Lola. Oh, the
He's had a bit of fun tonight, CL, hasn't he?
Force.
All right, so we're getting ready for this one, Jess. So 2 compulsory stops, as you mentioned, Crompo. So a little bit of strategy to come into this one. Chaz is still rocking the hairdo. He's lost the mo for the last couple of rounds.
Thankfully.
The Mobile One Appliances online racer has been right up there in this championship. Probably one of the big improvers, Gary Jacobson. Scotty Pye, the DeWalt entry. It's fascinating to watch them switch their game face on. Chris Pither found trouble at turn 1.
So, is he warming virtual tyres there? Yes. Or just trying to work out how to get the wheels centred?
And this is cool. GT's got the full spec going, motion sensors and all sorts of stuff. So the final race of the night, the 20th race of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Anton De Pasquale resumes this battle with Shane Van Gisbergen at the front.
20 laps the journey for our final race of the evening from the Circuit of the Americas outside Austin, Texas. And a great start by Anton, and Shane drops straight in behind him and looks to see whether or not he can sneak down the inside. Mostert also trying to make ground down the inside, and he has touched the back of McLaughlin and half rotated him. They've managed to pop out the other side miraculously. Actually, Lando in there as well, so it was Lando in the Mobil 1 Arrow car that I think made the contact.
He was really aggressive, Neil, on the inside line. Lando Norris, he went left straight off the start. By the time they got up to turn 1, that's where he made contact with Scott McLaughlin. So for the second time in 2 races, McLaughlin has found trouble by the first turn. De Pasquale has the lead over Van Gisbergen. They all fan out as they start this left-right combination. It's busy down here. Scotty Pye on the outside. Gary Jacobson tries to cover against Bryce Fullwood.
Already significant amount of damage in the left-hand side of Gary's car. And whenever they start to look like they're 3 wide in these tight back sections of the racetrack, you know people are begging for trouble there at the moment. Will Davison, car number 23, Milwaukee Racing, sitting in 5th position. He had a podium last week, so Anton's got a margin, just a little over a second from Van Gisbergen. There is Will Davison on screen, bottom right-hand corner. Cam Waters has settled into 3rd spot. And a lot of these cars further off in the background I can see are flying every which way. And some of them, in fact, a couple more have run off the side of the road. And some of them will take the opportunity to dive in and do their first stop. So Lee Holdsworth has come in the truck assist entry. And remember that he's around at Thomas Randall's place using the Dream Simulation gear as well. So he's using the opportunity to try and get fresh air, maybe a benefit of an undercut, and try and manage where he pops back out in this field.
Good little battle here between old sparring partners Will Davison and Will Power. So Davison is in position number 5 and Will Power tucked in behind him. They've got a little bit of a breather back towards Scott McLaughlin, but they have got lock on Chaz Mostert ahead of them.
Both those guys actually had a test in a Minardi Formula 1 car many moons ago, and they are good mates. They've maintained a strong relationship, and Will Davison on many occasions has gone and visited Will Power in his IndyCar exploits and his successful run to an IndyCar Championship and an Indy 500 victory. And in fact, Will has had a remarkable career with Roger Penske. He's been runner-up on a whole bunch of occasions, 2010, 11, 12, 16. 3rd in 2015. BP Ultimate Replay shows us the start. And look further down the order because, as usual, chaotic. Once they get to 3 and 4 wide back here, you know that everybody's begging for a bit of strife. Now, Will Davison did a smart thing. He popped to the right to avoid the trouble. It was confirmed as Lando down the inside, tangling with Scott McLaughlin. And that was Nick Percat, or was it Nelson, down the inside on the grass at turn 2. Looked like it was Nelson based on where he had it on the racetrack, or off it, in fact.
This is where more damage occurred. So it was the inside that was the problem here. It was also Bryce Fullwood who was looking on the left-hand side of that circuit. He avoided any trouble up over the rise and down towards turn 2. So some of the big hitters are coming into pit lane, headed by Lando Norris. McLaughlin is in there. Jake Kostecki's there. That's Nick Percat, the Dunlop Super Dealer entry as well.
Cool shot there because you actually see the instant fix, the fast fix there for Lando in the background when he took his service. So the first of 2 stops done, and that's Scott McLaughlin re-entering the racetrack. So got a lot of people came in a little bit earlier than Jonathan was originally predicting, and that's because of the crazy levels of congestion as well. People just trying to untangle themselves from the pack that they're racing. It's left Anton in the lead, Shane Van Gisbergen and Cam Waters 2nd and 3rd, and Cam's got Chaz Mostert behind him, only about a car length adrift, and then Will Davison there in 5th position, followed by his mate Will Power, and then a bit of a gap back to Todd Hazelwood, Jack LeBrock, Gary Jacobson and Brycey Fullwood is in the 10th position at the moment.
Top of those to pit is Scott McLaughlin. As you said, Crompo, there are 2 compulsory stops in this one. 150 points on offer for the winner. Race 20 of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Our first trip, well, virtually back to Austin, Texas, since Virgin Australia Supercars Championship proper was here back in 2013. On that weekend, Jamie Whincup dominated. 3 race wins. Fabian Coulthard, who was driving for BJR at the time, claimed the other race victory. And this evening we've had Shane Van Gisbergen win our first race, Lando Norris win the reverse grid race, and more cars enter pit lane, headed by Jack LeBrock.
This is a venue where they first started turning dirt in 2010, opened in 2012, home of the US Grand Prix for Formula One since 2012, MotoGP since 2013. IndyCar started there last year as well, 2019. They've had World Endurance Championship racing as well. And watching the rejoin for Jack LeBrock, Super Cheap Auto Racing. That was very close between Jack and Chris Pither, who's got a fair amount of damage on the front left-hand corner of that car.
Quite a few big-name concerts here as well. It's the live music capital of the world, they say, Austin, Texas. It's one hell of a place. If you ever get the chance to visit, thoroughly recommend it. De Pasquale by 6/10 or 7/10 over Shane Van Gisbergen. Cameron Waters has been rock solid again this evening. He's in third, but there's a long way to go in this one. Our Pertec Group pit reporters of Chad Nailon and Jonathan Simon. Fellas, take it away.
Well, Matty, for the first time in a few races, Anton is ahead of the 97, so he can be the aggressor in this scenario, and it might be up to Shane Van Gisbergen to try something different. Maybe not quite as different as what Jamie Whincup went for at Spa, where they went really, really long. But how do you think this is going to play out then, Jonathan, between these two?
There's a window opening now on our timing screens between around where Jamie Whincup is and Scott McLaughlin, around that 13th to 15th position range, around about a 10-second gap. So if they want to pit during this first window, the option's there.
A bit here between Lando and Scott Pye going on. Just been listening to the back channels, particularly between the races, and there's a little bit of aggro between, I think it might have been Brody Kostecki and Scott Pye going on, so don't be surprised if you see something pop up about that online this week as well.
Okay, Scotty Pye, as you mentioned, Chad, is having a duel here with Lando Norris. They've swapped positions a couple of times just on the last lap. They're both enjoying it. Lando, at the moment, enjoying it a little bit more because he's got this position, but we're talking about position number 20 on the racetrack. So they have already completed their pit stop, so that'll need to be cleansed. And they'll end up further up. Now he's pulled away in the Mobil 1 Arrow Racing Commodore. And it was round the outside for Scotty Pye originally, but Lando wasn't having any of that. So Anton De Pasquale leads from Shane Van Gisbergen and Cam Waters on lap 5 out of 20.
A handy little margin now, Van Gisbergen, just able to set his own tone, and so he's used that fresh air wisely. He's come in now for his first stop. He's got Will Davison tucked in behind. That leaves and unleashes Anton De Pasquale in the lead on his own at the moment. He's actually got about 3 seconds over Cam Waters. So the other thing that's happening, particularly evident tonight, Matt, is those that are really on top of sim racing and really understand how to get the most out of their cars are floating to the top in all circumstances here, whether it be reverse grid or not. And, you know, it's favouring those that have managed to unlock the technique in the cars. So Shane gets his job done nicely. Out he comes in the background there. It's Alex Davison. They were actually talking about this earlier in the week. If you use too much of that curb down there, as was discovered earlier by Josh Fife, it is very easy to roll the cars, and that was actually something that was talked about significantly during the week. So Shane sets sail once more. Where's he dropped back in? He's showing in 7th at the moment behind Austin Cindric and Alex Davison.
I can't remember it being that aggro when we were there in 2013, that pit lane region.
I remember when I haven't done a lap in a race car, but I do remember going around there in the road car thinking to myself at the time, not being able to see that apex up at the top of turn 1 and people feeding out underneath you on cold tyres. That's a little recipe. Yep. And it's unfolded that way. Will Power on screen here. He's still using the VR goggles. Well, not still. He hasn't stopped using them, but we saw Bryce Forward before he's ditched that idea. Anton now comes into the pit lane with Cam Waters out of the lead. Pertec pit stop. And US pit lane configuration significantly different to Australia with the concrete wall separating the crews, and we're going to keep an eye on the rejoin here. Van Gisbergen out of the final corner, and we've got our other camera pegged on Anton and Cam to see how they fare. He lights it up. First gear ruling this week to make sure that people don't find ways around the game. And look at this battle on the run up to the hairpin at the top of the hill. Now, Anton has got position, but he's got a cold tyre and he's about to be attacked by Van Gisbergen, who has to go the long way round. Is he going to be able to do that cleanly? This next sequence of corners are very difficult to pass. And Shane right under the back of him. Now, cast your mind back to Spa last week. These two in a vigorous battle, and they tangled. And it ended up being a bad deal for Shane Van Gisbergen. They depart off the longer track, get onto that shorter bit. Look at the amount of turn-in space that Anton gives himself, well wide of the limits. Remember, they've got more incident points up their sleeve in this one, 25 by comparison to the first two races this evening. Now things are settling down grip-wise for Anton as they get back underway. Will Power is our leader at the moment from Bryce forward. That's an 8-second margin. And then Anton De Pasquale, who's left rear wing end plate we're looking at the moment, looking back towards Shane Van Gisbergen. Those two are in the battle for third and fourth. They're effectively the race leaders because Will and Bryce are yet to pit. In fact, Bryce in the Mobil 1 Minis car is actually just coming into the lane now.
So that'll leave Will Power as the only one out there yet to complete his first of two compulsory pit stops. So lap 8 out of 20. And the battle for the race lead is what you're looking at. The effective race lead is right here. Anton De Pasquale and Shane Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen pulled the trigger first on the pit stop. De Pasquale followed him. And Anton has maintained that position ahead of Shane. Cam Waters tucked in behind them. So how long does Will stay out? Power, that is, before he transits pit lane for the first time, and who will trigger the next round of pit stops. They all start to string out a little bit in this one, Crompo.
The team have been doing a bit of math in the background as well, and coming into this final race tonight, Monster Energy Ford Mustang of Cam Waters was actually the championship leader, because remember, McLaughlin got buried in that middle race there before as well. So Cam's consistency and steady as she goes policy, together with just picking up some solid placings and wins and what have you here and there, has actually served him pretty well. He's done a nice job, and he's rocking along pretty nicely in fourth position at the moment. Incident point wise, leading that tally at the moment is actually Lando Norris. He's eaten up 11 of them so far. Boys in Melbourne are keeping an eye on things for Pertec Pit reporting. Chad, Jonathan, what have you got to report? Are you seeing anything on iRacing that we're not spotting?
Well, just wanted to check in with this little battle right now, because it looked like there's a little bit of trouble brewing here with a few drivers. Lando Norris in the middle of this one behind Andre Heimgartner. Cool video this week, Jonathan, online showing Andre's new setup with the LG 55-inch screens. Now, what are the advantages there that someone might go for? Because that is actually 4.1 metres of peripheral vision around him.
Yeah, you're talking 10 years ago. Everybody was on a single screen as we watched Norris make a move here on Andre. But now with 3 screens around him, he'll be able to see Norris in his mirrors a lot clearer than if he only ran one of them.
So he's just having a little bit of a peek to the inside. Might not be able to make that one stick. So just get that in your head for a second. 4.1 metres of vision going around him as Lando has to go the long way at turn 1. So you'll have Lando Norris stretching around his living room right now. Also looks like he's gone the anti-Ned Kelly look tonight. He's had a bit of a shave, looking very serious, Andre Heimgartner.
It doesn't matter which monitor he's looking in, fellas, because Andre Heimgartner will see Lando Norris left, right and centre. He's been climbing all over the back of the Ned Mustang, but Andre is fighting him off. They're looking at positions 10 and 11. As they headed up towards turn 1, for all money, you think that Lando could have got that job done by turn 2. But as Neil said, it's so difficult to make a move from this part onwards.
Study Lando's hands. The gear shifts, he's using the paddles as they would do with the Formula 1 car, but methodical. Lets the thing slide on exit, but concentrating on not upsetting the car. He's got pressure on him, but it's just interesting to look at how little he upsets the steering inputs, and I think that's one of the real keys to trying to make sim racing work, and that's just understanding how little you can afford to upset the balance of the car. No real difference in reality to real racing, but you don't have that telegraphed information coming through your backside and the palm of your hands like you do with the race car, and there's no additional engineering input to change things. So it's all going to be done on sight and sound. So this is the viewpoint from Lando's car number 04 for Mobil 1 Arrows Racing, the run up towards turn 1. Sitting in 11th at the moment. That's the Ned Racing Mustang of Andre Heimgartner just in the foreground. And you can see how hard, particularly in the graphic there, to see that apex at turn 1 over the crest of that hill. And they actually plummet downhill pretty significantly, and the downhill run continues all the way down to turn 9. It's Craig Lowndes with the yellow wheels. 888. Holden Racing Team Commodore. Todd Hazelwood continues that nice solid run. Mark Winterbottom. That was Austin Cindric in there as well. It's getting a bit closer, so that margin's come down to 0.59 of a second. Fastest lap of the race, by the way, is Anton. He's done a 1 minute 30.718. That compares to a 30.8 for Shane Van Gisbergen, so they're about a tenth of a second separated for their best speed at the moment. But interestingly, the last lap for both of them was almost identical, so they are absolutely maxed out in their pace. Last lap for Cam Waters, by comparison, was in the mid-31s, and he's sitting in third. Scott McLaughlin sitting in fourth on a low 31. So these two guys are the cream of the crop in lap speed at the moment.
Lap 11 out of 20. The gap 0.8 of a second from Anton De Pasquale to Shane Van Gisbergen. And then it's Cameron Waters and Scotty McLaughlin. This is a great shot. And what this has done is Lando Norris now peels off on the inside of Andre Heimgartner up at turn 1. I was just about to say it's brought Bryce forward into this conversation. So he waited a couple of laps. He couldn't get it done first time around, and he had to sit behind the Ned Mustang Norris. Now he made his move. Just a quick twitch to the left at the top of the hill, and Norris goes up to position number 10.
He's got genuine pace, hasn't he? And he's definitely worked out how to get the most out of it here. And remember, he came into this event having run in the IndyCar in the E-Series as well, so he has a little bit of understanding of the nuances and nature of this racetrack. De Pasquale's got 0.8 of a second now over Van Gisbergen. As we focus on this battle, Cam Waters, Scott McLaughlin, Will Davison, Will Power, Gary Jacobson, Jack LeBrock, Lee Holdsworth and Lando Norris. So Lando sizing up the back of Lee's car now. That's Mark Winterbottom in the Irwin car in the foreground. He's got Jake Kostecki tucked in behind him for Matt Stone Racing. They're running their own virtual competition as well. Erebus have got a competition going as well, so quite a few of the teams have got peripheral activity going on in this area. In fact, early this morning, Scott McLaughlin got up super early to get together with all of his Team Penske teammates in a competition, and they ran across 3 fun little racetracks, and it was on a Roval, stadium trucks and some speedway stuff, and they raising money through one of their sponsors. So there's a lot of people doing things in this space at the moment as we wait for real racing to get back underway. They are doing that in IndyCar and NASCAR in the not too distant future, and we're looking forward to formal announcements in relation to Formula One and later on with supercars as well. It's an interesting image, isn't it? Anton's now just opened up that margin a little bit more. It's almost 1 second now, Matt. That was tight. That tight rejoin with Chaz almost making contact with Heimgartner. It's about as close as you want to be.
So Andre's seeing the Mobil 1 racer of Lando come at him. He's had the other Mobil 1 racer of Bryce forward in the mix as well, and then he rejoins to find Chaz Mostert waiting for him in the Mobil 1 appliances online. Walkinshaw Andretti United Commodore. It's been a points accumulator. Andre Heimgartner, but the lead belongs to Anton De Pasquale. It's about a second to Shane Van Gisbergen.
It's been a big year this year for Chaz Mostert, hasn't it? Because he was a class winner at the Daytona 24-hour and will be off to Daytona next week. That was so close. Lee Holdsworth tucked right in behind. Didn't quite get him though. So just making the point about Chaz though, so ripping start for him at Daytona earlier in the year. Great start, the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship. third after the first round down in Adelaide, and a wonderful start with Walkinshaw Andretti United. Lee Holdsworth truck assist for Tickford, bottom right-hand corner of screen. So he's in Thomas Randall's gear down there at the moment, working way hard at the task in Melbourne. It looks to me as though Lee's getting better and better with every passing week at the moment. He's looking competitive. And who's emerging from the lane here? Guessing. Matt actually craned his neck there, but being a one-dimensional television, good luck with that.
I tried to have a virtual look over something that didn't exist up on two wheels there for Chaz Mostert. Lee Holdsworth had a bird's eye view of that one. Great part of the circuit, this. Short shoot, left, right, up over the curbs.
There was a lot of talk midweek about exceeding track limits and people just shortcutting, but it really hasn't been the issue that we thought it was going to be. They are eating up their points out there at the moment, but it hasn't been a massive catastrophe. Meantime, Craig Lowndes has been having a spot of bother. Even though it's only 3.7 Ks, Lowndes has been adding to the meterage on this racetrack, and
he stopped it.
Got it done.
Beautiful.
So that was a bit weird. So Jake Kostecki was the one in the NTI Maidstone Racing entry that was all crossed up, and Craig's had a couple of excursions left, right and centre as we go back to Shane Van Gisbergen. That's second place, and he is exactly 1 second behind Anton at the moment.
Yeah, so lap 14 out of 20, they're going to have to stop again, and he's just making sure, Van Gisbergen, that Di Pasquale doesn't get too far away from him. Just got a little bit more aggressive in that last lap. So Kostecki comes in, Fabian's in there, Craig's in there as well. Rick Kelly comes into the Pertec pit stop. That is number 2 for those guys. Taking a long time, Jake. Getting some sort of penalty there.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the incident points. Who's leading that charge at the moment? 17 points deducted for Gary Jacobson, or accumulated, I should say, for Gary Jacobson.
All right.
Anton's in here as well, so this is key. And second stop for him.
So that leaves Shane Van Gisbergen out there ahead of Bryce Fullwood and Mark Winterbottom. Jake's still there. Or is that Zane Goddard's come in now? So that's car 34, I think.
Yes.
Yep, it is. All right, the Pertec pit stop for the man who is our effective race leader. Let's see where he rejoins here. And he'll have to wait for Shane Van Gisbergen to complete his second stop as we go on board with Cam Waters up the front straight. Great view here of turn 1. We've seen how difficult it can be when you're on your own, when you're around traffic. It turns hard left all the way back round on itself. Then she opens up beautifully.
Off to a great start in the championship for him in reality this year as well. He's sitting 4th. He had 3rd in one of the races, qualified 3rd in one of the races down there in Adelaide. Monster Energy Ford Mustang for Tickford Racing. He's 25 years of age. He's had a win and got full pole positions in supercar competition. Shane Van Gisbergen, who got a little older just in this past week, 31 years of age, car number 97. So he now dives into the lane for his second stop. So we'll see how this pans out in the battle with Anton. Remember, there was about a 1 second fluctuating margin between them, and we're going to focus on those gaps. Anton's on the right-hand side of screen, and Shane's in the lane for his second and final stop.
So Shane was 27 seconds ahead of Anton Di Pasquale when he came into the lane. It's a 26.5 second pit stop when you include the tyres. It'll be tight. The question is, how tight?
See Anton exploiting every last little bit of that track on the approach, the entry, across that apex and on the exit. Shane serviced and gone. He departs up to that pinch point at the top of the hill. Anton's on the charge and he holds the margin. So he got him, and actually got a reasonable gap by the look of it. So that's about 1.5 seconds according to the computer at the moment. So good job. Nice work.
So now it's game on. Something we've got used to in this E-Series. De Pasquale and Van Gisbergen. Cam Waters is there waiting to pounce if there's any trouble, and there has been trouble between these two, though not tonight. The yellow cover entry of Gary Jacobson on track for another top 10 finish. He was on the podium at Spa last weekend. He's currently 7th. He's got Jack LeBrock and the Super Cheap Auto entry behind him.
The interesting thing for me was the undercut benefit that Anton got then as well. So that he did a nice job of that. But yeah, Gary, who had ankle surgery earlier in the year, on the podium last week, and in reality, 41 supercar races to his credit. Best performance for him is a couple of 8th placings. Best qualifying for him is a 5th, which he achieved at Sandown last year. Dunlop Series champion in our 2nd tier series and supercar competition in 2016, so he's got a pedigree. And last year, Kelly Racing 23rd in the championship. He swapped squadrons this year. He's with Matt Stone's group, and he's actually running along pretty nicely there at the moment, isn't he? So well inside the top 10 for another decent points haul.
Pertec pit reporters, lap 17 now, guys, out of 20.
And for car 17, Matty, it's going to be a pretty interesting championship scenario in the BP Ultimate point score. At the moment, Jonathan, that points lead is just dwindling away, and we have got maybe a change for second.
Yeah, it's unofficial for the moment, but it looks like Shane Van Gisbergen is going to close to within 40 points of Scott McLaughlin in the championship lead. Oh, there's always a battle when we get crossed through. And Cameron Waters still in with about 50 points. The overall round victory could go to De Pasquale, and that means his charity of Feel the Magic will take home the round prize.
Yeah, so Armour will offer up $1,000 for the charity of the driver's choice. Like you mentioned, Feel the Magic is the charity of choice for Anton De Pasquale. But if Shane Van Gisbergen can catch and pass him, that money will go to Wings for Life, which is Shane Van Gisbergen's chosen charity. So there's a bit of money to play for in these last 3.5 laps.
Yeah, that's where the $1,000, thanks to Armour, went in our last round to Shane Van Gisbergen. Cam Waters, of course, is in this mix. Should anything untoward happen, he's driving for Camp Quality, his chosen charity, and well done to Armour for offering up the $1,000 for each round winner of the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. Thank you, fellas. Lap 17 out of 20. De Pasquale has a 1.2 second lead over Shane Van Gisbergen. Cam Waters is a little bit further back as we zero in on Garth Tander. He's had a pretty quiet night back there in the Red Bull Holden Racer with the blue wheels on. He's back into position number 22. His first crack in this series.
There he is.
Got all the gear.
Motion sim. He's down at the Melbourne Performance Centre GT. Serious pedigree as a series champion and multiple Bathurst winner. And he's pinched wife Leanne's race number for this evening, car number 42. Actually, last time out as a Pertec Enduro Cup driver at Sandown, bailed another podium. So good operator, that man. He's actually got a bit to his credit. Look at it, 639 races according to me, 55 race wins, 30 pole positions, 99 podiums in supercar competition. That's a fair lick, isn't it? Now, if Anton continues to do what he's doing at the moment, he'll move his win tally on in this series to 3, and Shane's sitting on 6 after his win earlier on this evening. So, oh man, that was close. Zane went about as close as you dare to actually ending up with that thing on its roof. Clipped the curb on the run down the hill. That was a bit spooky. Very easy to trip over the top of these curbs. So what we're seeing at the moment is exactly what we talked about earlier in the evening, and that is De Pasquale with a consolidation effort tonight that's going to make him a much bigger threat in the final rounds of this championship, leading to the 10th and final round coming up in June. Anton's got just on 1 second to Shane Van Gisbergen. Whoa, Bollard goes round, and frustrating to do that in the unit car. There was a little livery change on that car recently, and Cam Waters 3rd, Scott McLaughlin 4th, Will Davison in 5th, then Will Power. So Zane just gathers it back up in front of Macaulay Jones, and Macca's got Nick Percat behind him as well. Replay thanks to BP at the top of the hill, and this is McLaughlin on the outside of Waters, and round he goes. So that was pretty costly for Scott McLaughlin. They were battling for 3rd position. Now McLaughlin has subsequently, you saw in that replay that Will Davison was in front of him. Well, he's cleared Will once more, and he's back up into 4th position and trying to hunt down Cam Waters once more. So Interesting to see whether Craig Baird has got a view on that. He might have actually done what he threatened to do early on. He's been pretty quiet, hasn't he? I think he's yanked the cable, either the NBN or the ADSL, or maybe it's dial-up at Beardo's joint.
I think it was after he binned Lando through pit lane, wasn't it?
Miraculously, he's come to life, apparently. I've been told he's on the line and waiting to cop a bit more of a sledging from me. What did you think about that one up at turn 1, Beardo? Do you think there's a case to answer for either of those blokes?
Yeah, definitely. We're trying to get Waters to reposition behind Scott McLaughlin.
Okay. So Cam,
we're just trying to get a message across to Cam Waters just for a reposition. They've both carried on, but one's gained advantage from contact.
All right. Thanks for that. Just want to make sure you're awake, Craig. Just make sure that you're still tuned in.
He's with us. He's all over it, Beardo. I've got your back, mate. Don't worry about Crompo here. So Cam Waters has got a 3.7 kilometres to make sure that he lets Scotty McLaughlin go through. And that'll put McLaughlin in position number 3. And it's the go slow. And now Scott's finally got the message. And Will Davison goes, oh, yeah, that's good. I'll go there.
Now, this margin has closed right up, Matty, so it's officially 0.4 of a second, but it's close enough to apply pressure. And now it's caution to the wind in terms of using track limits. So these guys are at it. Closing stages of the final race of the evening. Van Gisbergen on the charge, hunting De Pasquale, who might grab his third win. Down the inside comes Shane, and he tags him and turns him, but he waits. He waits to clear him. They have made contact again for the second time in 7 days, and I think Shane will redress. He has. So smart play, Shane Van Gisbergen, and that probably protects his second place points. Smart bit of professional thinking racing involved by Shane Van Gisbergen there. So he got underneath him, he had a dive, and then he cleared him, and it lets Anton off the hook. And chances are now he'll close this deal. He's getting his 150 points. This is what he's been looking for. So Anton De Pasquale takes the win in the final race of the evening at the Circuit of the Americas in Texas. And a smart bit of play there by Shane Van Gisbergen to come home in second place and redress when he needed to make a quick decision, followed by Scott McLaughlin in third, having sorted those placings out with Cam Waters.
So a bit of drama on the final lap, and a bruise between these guys, and then it turns into a big bruise, but Shane Van Gisbergen was smart enough and quick enough to take his own action and make sure that Anton De Pasquale got what he deserved in that, which is his third race victory in this series.
And he's the unofficial round winner, Anton, and that means that the $1,000 will go to Feel the Magic. So well done to Anton, and nice work by Shane as well.
Wow, what a dramatic finish. Scott McLaughlin on the podium again. So that's the second time that the podium's been made up of a mixture of De Pasquale, Van Gisbergen and McLaughlin. Cam Waters unlucky there in fourth. Will Power finishes inside the top 5, and Lando Norris, a stunning effort this evening. Victory in the second race and a top 10 finish in the third and final one of the night. Position 11 goes to Andre Heimgartner. Austin Cindric, our other wildcard, finished in position number 15. David Reynolds in 20th for Erebus Motorsport. As we move through the field, we find Garth Tander, Jake Kostecki there in 26th, and Craig Lowndes in position number 30 on his return to Supercars racing, albeit virtually. So the Koala race highlights. Remember, the accrued points made up our grid here. So we had De Pasquale and Van Gisbergen off the start. They'd already had 2 shorter races going into this one, and a lot of the action on the inside here up at turn 1. Up towards the hill, that hard left-hand turn, and Scott McLaughlin was involved in some contact there again. Will Power and Will Davison did well to avoid any of that damage. They speared off to the right and got the heck out of there. McLaughlin then gets back into the groove, but this was the one that would cost Cam Waters another podium finish. He had to redress that position. That was a little later on. So battle here between De Pasquale and Van Gisbergen. Out of pit lane. They waited and waited and waited till the final lap, while Jake Kostecki and Zane Goddard had a bit of drama. Oh, that was Lounsey arriving on the scene, and then it all came down to this, the final lap of the night. It was about a 1 second gap. It closed so quickly. Van Gisbergen gets closer and closer and closer, and then too close, and the Penrite racer gets spun around. You thought that it couldn't happen again. It did. But by then, Shane Van Gisbergen knew he was in the wrong. He stepped back. Di Pasquale goes ahead and gets another victory on an eventful night in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series.
Well, Anton Di Pasquale is the round winner tonight, and he joins us on the line. Hey, Anton, congratulations. Gee, you and Shane Van Gisbergen are magnets for each other right in the dying seconds of the race. As that unfolded, I was thinking, oh no, we've already seen this movie, but it all worked out in the end.
Yeah, it's good. Me and Shane have been sort of nose to tail for a couple of weeks now, so it's kind of whoever starts in front and leads turn one kind of wins the race. So that was the aim for the night. I think, yeah, obviously he come at me a bit at the end there and had a dive. I think he knew no matter what happened, then when he took me out, we had enough gap to redress it and get to line. He knows what's going on. So it was all a bit of fun.
Hey, Anton, fantastic. Also, taking out the round means $1,000 to your charity of choice, Feel the Magic.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. We've been short a couple of weeks now and sort of just missed out. So it's good to be able to donate some money to them. They're a good cause our team believes in, and Betty especially. So that's something I'm happy about and proud of to donate some money to them. It's good.
And handy to have plenty of points in the bank tonight as we are on the home stretch now to the end of this E-Series Championship. You were a little bit behind Scotty McLaughlin and those front runners, but tonight's haul will certainly help that. Hey, congratulations. We'll catch up with you next week.
Thank you. Cheers, guys. Thanks for watching.
Anton Di Pasquale, our round winner tonight in our BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. We're going to reset because we've got something pretty special coming up next Monday. It is the Celebrity E-Series race, and our very own Neil Crompton will be starring behind the wheel. Now, tell us how much time you've actually been putting into the sim, because a good source tells me you've been spending hours and hours every day getting ready.
No, Jessica. What the truth is here is, in fact, somebody's using my ID, somebody that might be known to you, and they're marauding around town and they've stolen my credit card ID, iRacing ID. So, no, I haven't done a single lap. I might need to get a giddy up and learn how to do it.
The good thing is that Crompo's still got every race suit that he ever raced in. So he's got a wide selection of race suits.
What are you going to pull out for the night? It's got to be something special.
Pyjamas.
Well, you'll be in here in our studios, so we're going to have a bit of fun.
Yeah.
But
what could possibly go wrong? You can imagine the cheerleading in the background, folks. Imagine what this will be like.
It's a show you won't want to miss, I can promise that. But we've got some incredible stars. Zach Brown will be lining up. Jack Rewalt, who has been putting in plenty of time on the sim.
The great Brad Jones, Barry Ryan.
Yep, a whole list. Luke Egan.
Luke Egan,
joining.
Impersonator, surfer extraordinaire, and identity thief.
And I can confirm DJ Carl Cox is actually going to be competing in our celebrity race on Monday.
Cool.
So that'll be awesome. But we've got almost nearly 30 competitors, I think.
Who's your target to beat?
Should be great.
Who do you have to beat?
Brad Jones at all costs. We've got a little competition that's been going since 1932.
Yeah, excellent. Can't wait for the next round of that. Boys, I'll see you next week
on
our BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. We're going to head to Charlotte Motor Speedway and then Daytona, which should be a lot of fun. Thanks for your company. We hope you enjoyed the show tonight. We'll see you next week.
The BP Supercars All-Star E-Series is proudly brought to you by BP Ultimate. Clean engine, ultimate performance.
Black Duck seat covers are bred for adventure. We're a family-owned company making Aussie-made seat covers. Our range of high-quality materials provide strength, performance and comfort. Perfect for all those Aussies who work hard and play harder. Black Duck seat